Welcome to Pick a Licks, the Dream Band podcast, with me, Dan Dan, and my co-host, Danny Beardsley.
Pick a Licks!
Yay!
Hey, Danny.
How you doing, Dan?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. What's new on the podcast this week?
Well, we've got some really interesting stuff this week on the podcast, haven't we? I'm not going to share who's on it just yet, though. I feel like we need to build up to that section.
Yeah, and considering this may well be the first episode,
It could be the first. We've not decided yet.
yeah, this is a groundbreaking moment.
Indeed, it is. So let's tell the guys, the listeners, the thousands, millions of listeners out there, a little bit about us, I suppose.
Oh God, where do we start?
You can start.
What year did we meet? We've been friends a long time.
You're asking me things that I'm not
Yeah.
going to remember. I'm not great at memories.
Well, it's our love of music that brought us together.
Definitely.
It was my first serious band. Was it your first serious band as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, Isolicis we were called.
We're previously called Crimson, but you were in Crimson.
No, I wasn't there during that time frame. How would you describe Isolicis, Dan?
I mean, it's a hard rock kind of metal, hard rock metal-esque.
Yeah. We might lose some listeners at this point, but we were heavily influenced by bands like Disturbed.
Definitely.
And
early 2000s kind of rock and metal, really. Creed.
yeah.
I still love Creed.
I still love
I
Creed.
won't hear any
Yeah.
bad things said
Yeah.
about them. He has got a comedy voice, though. But, you know,
He has, but I still think he's a good songwriter.
brilliant.
I know. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure, really.
Definitely a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. So that's where our paths crossed for the first time. And we released an EP, didn't we, to start with?
Yeah, there was an EP.
What was it called, that EP? Was it called Needless to Say, or was it...
Well, I think there was a Needless to Say EP. Again, my memory is poor, but
we probably sold about 45 copies.
And then we did an album,
Yeah, we did an album called Condemned.
which launched at the Scala Cinema in Ilkeston.
You know what? That's a very special gig. I look back on that gig very fondly. It was a great
insane.
night, wasn't it?
It was insane. Everyone got a free copy of the album on entry, and it was I think it's like the second or third oldest cinema in the UK.
Yeah. We was worried about the ceiling falling in, weren't we?
We were, definitely. With how
your
loud
bass
we were.
tone. like a dog being sick.
It's the best kind of bass tone there is.
It's how your bass tone's been described, Dan.
That's the only way. It was an incredible experience, though. Absolutely loved it. And we packed it out, so...
Yeah, totally.
If you came, thank you.
Yeah. Well, we played some cool shows in that band, didn't we? We went to Ibiza together and played over there.
Yeah, for Hard Rock Hell Ibiza.
Yep. We had, lots of fond memories from that
Loads,
place.
yeah.
And then we created a band called Emperor Chung. That was like the next chapter for us, wasn't it?
It was. A little bit different from Isolicis, but still in the kind of rock category.
Yeah, I'd say heavily inspired by Coheed.
Coheed. Yeah, Coheed, but then kind of inspired by a lot of the kind of dual guitar kind of lead kind of bands like Thunder and Spout. Like, you know, do you get what I'm saying?
Like Thin Lizzy with the
Thin
dual
Lizzy,
harmonies.
yes.
Yeah.
Dual harmonies, a lot
Yeah.
of dual harmonies with you and Rich.
Richard Shaw, which some of you might have heard of.
He went on to bigger and better things.
He has much bigger things, didn't he? So he was playing guitar for Cradle of Filth for how many years was it?
A good few. I don't want to even guess.
Yeah, I mean it was amazing. It was amazing seeing him. He toured the world, didn't he, with that band? And we managed to.
Oh no! Here we go.
I'm getting the card out now.
This is far too early for the download card. But go on, play it. Drop it out.
You said it before me.
Drop it out.
2013 download Pepsi Max stage. Boom.
Drop the mic. What can I say? It was incredible, wasn't it? We had our own little dressing room.
Dream come true. I can't remember. It's a little bit of a blur looking back now.
All a bit of a blur, really. But yeah, there were loads of great venues.
Music video on Scuzz.
Oh,
Wasn't
yes. If anyone remembers Scuzz, the Bees.
Yeah.
Well, I say he loved us. He loved the name Emperor Chung. So,
I don't think he liked the band. I think he liked the name, didn't he?
Yeah, it was mainly the name. He wore the T-shirt as well.
And he started a chant. He was the one who created the chant.
Up the Chung.
Up the Chung.
Up the Chung.
So during that period, we needed to satisfy our thirst for prog, didn't we? Instrumental prog.
Yes.
And we started a new project as a little bit of a spin-off, the Parallax Method.
Yep.
which we formed that. We should have mentioned who else was in Emperor Chung, actually.
They'll probably be on the show at some point, so
Yeah.
let's leave people hanging.
Yeah,
They
we'll leave people
They
hanging.
can Google it if they
Yeah.
want to.
So the Parallax Method, a progressive rock band,
Instrumental prog rock trio.
Yeah, so we released our first EP together, didn't we, with The Owl, and then
I left.
Dan left the band.
It was simply too complex for my fingers. No,
It is for mine, really.
as much as I enjoyed being in Parallax Method, it was very taxing on my poor little brain.
Yeah, it is taxing.
But the Parallax Method is still going.
Yep, and we've got Ben Edis on bass.
Indeed.
So we released another EP, which was a follow-up called The Squid, and then we released the full-length album, which took quite long because it was COVID and stuff. So
And it's prog.
it's prog. Prog takes
It's
time.
always going to take a long time.
Yeah, it takes a long time. And then sort of overlapping that, I started trying to pursue a solo
What's the band called?
career.
Danny?
It's under my name, and we're called the Danny Beardsley Trio.
Oh,
So it doesn't mean there's three Danny Beardsleys on stage.
I always think it's the Danny Beardsley experience, but I think that's just.
Yeah, well, I mean, the guys wanted to call it the Danny Beardsley and the Danny Beardsleys.
See, that's great.
Yeah, I mean,
Better,
yeah,
much better.
I mean, then it's not particularly a rock and roll name, Danny Beardsley.
But it's the only name you've got. Unless
Yeah.
I mean, you could change it.
I could change it to
what would you change it to if you could?
Wolfhammer.
Wolfhammer.
I didn't plan that. It was just the first thing that popped.
It's horrific.
Yeah. Danny Wolfhammer.
Oh, Danny Wolfhammer. I thought just Wolfhammer.
Or
Danny Wolfhammer.
yeah, it's
I'm
bad,
not
innit?
calling you that.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What name would you come up with? Just go.
I'm not doing it.
No, okay.
I'm not doing it.
I refuse to do it.
I'm not doing it.
So, that's our little bit of a backstory.
Oh, we've done our backstory, haven't we?
Yeah,
I didn't realise
we
we were
have.
doing that.
Yeah, we're just doing a little bit of a backstory so the listeners know.
Who they're listening to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not playing bass currently for a band, but I do like to.
Have a dabble.
I like to have a dabble. Yeah, I do some stuff on my own at home, but I do like to consider myself a music journalist these days.
I love it.
And I hope you agree, Danny.
Yeah, I do agree.
And that brings us on to, I suppose, why we're doing this podcast.
Well, why don't you start explaining? I mean,
Well, we both like music, don't we?
we love music.
We've met a lot of people over the years, and they've all got a really good story to tell.
Yeah.
So one of the better ways, I think, of getting out those stories is to kind of talk about who they'd have in their dream band.
Da, 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 da. And there is the concept.
Of Bigger Licks,
Oh, yes.
the Dream Band podcast.
Hopefully you're still with us.
If you've already turned off, don't come back.
Yeah.
We only kind of want the people that want to listen to us.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we're going to have some great guests on. I mean, through our years playing in bands, we've met hundreds and thousands of,
Amazing people, haven't we?
I was going to say interesting people.
Well, yeah.
Some of them have been amazing. Some of them not so amazing. But we'll talk to them anyway.
Yeah, of course.
As of recording, Danny, it might be quite a while in the past when you first hear this, but who have you been listening to? Any recommendations?
Well, Dan's probably going to take the mickey out of me. We've got similar tastes to a certain extent, haven't we? And then
Until
our tastes kind of split. But I'm a huge fan of, like, dad rock. I love it. I absolutely love it. At this point, Black Country Communion have released a new album. It's the 5th album.
a nice blues album.
It's not blues. It's
Blues
it's
rock.
got
Blues
elements of
rock.
blues. It's got elements of blues, but I mean, it's like the ultimate supergroup of. Oh my god, it's amazing.
Would it be your
We've got,
dream?
we've got
would,
Bonamassa on it.
would it be
I
your
don't
dream band
need-
lineup?
I don't need to go on this. That is my dream band lineup. But I mean, when you got Glenn Hughes and screaming his head off, he's got a voice of doom. Amazing.
A Voice of Doom.
Yeah. Anyway, so that album is fantastic.
What's it called?
It's called 5.
Oh, Simply 5.
Yeah, with
Okay.
like the Roman numerals 5.
Oh, no, so not Simply 5,
Yeah.
but also Simply
Yeah.
5.
So that's what I've been listening to this week. What about you, Dan? What have you been?
The only thing that really pops its little head out at the minute is I watched, I saw the video for the new Leprous single, Atonement.
Oh, I like that.
And I know you like Leprous.
Yeah.
We saw Leprous at Tech Fest a while ago, was it?
Yeah, that's the first time we saw them, and it was
That was
It was
the only
breathtaking,
it was
wasn't it?
Absolutely breathtaking. But I absolutely love the new single Atonement.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of energy. I know a lot of people don't like the newer Leprous stuff, but it's incredible.
well with that voice, and it just sounds different to me. Nobody sounds like Leprous.
Is it the best voice in rock currently? It could be.
I don't think that's the thing. I don't think there is a best. I don't think there is a best.
If there was, there'd be no point in doing this podcast, would there?
Exactly.
So
I've tried doing this, the Dream Band lineup, and it's impossible. It's so hard. So good luck to all you guests.
well, we'll be getting lots of honourable mentions as well, won't we? So
Yeah, I suppose that takes the
takes the heat a
pressure
little
off,
bit
yeah.
off. But ultimately, they've got to live with the band they choose at the end. So
You've got to live with the consequences of what they've created.
it could be Frankenstein's monster.
It could be. Can you imagine if some of those members that they choose hear the podcast and decide to form that band?
I mean, wow.
Have you thought about that?
No, I haven't thought about that. But maybe we'll create, like back in the day, you used to create boy bands.
Yeah.
We're like Simon Cowell right now. We could be creating some of the best bands in
Dan
the world.
Cowell.
Maybe not.
Right, that takes us on to this next part.
This week's guest. Who have we got, Danny?
He was the lead singer in Emperor Chung,
Oh, no.
and he will tell you all about it. His creative outlet, his main creative outlet, is a band called Confyde.
I think I know who you mean.
Yes. Should we say his name together?
Let's do it together.
1, 2, 3.
Martin Jackson.
Martin Jackson.
Martin Jackson. Martin Jackson. Martin Jackson.
Martin Jackson. Martin Jackson. Martin Jackson. Martin Jackson.
Martin Jackson. Martin Jackson. Martin Jackson.
Yeah, that's probably enough.
Far too much, that was.
On with the show.
So, are you the Martin Jackson?
I'm the Martin Jackson, the very same, the original and best.
The original, is there other Martin Jacksons out there?
Yeah, but we don't want to talk about them.
No. Do you have to use like an initial to indicate you are the Martin Jackson, or do people just know that when they see Martin Jackson, it's you?
I suppose I'm quite a distinctive image these days, so I'd like to think so.
Indeed. Have you ever had the case where someone's messaged you by accident thinking you're a different Martin Jackson?
No, actually. Although one of my best friends, Gemma, from back down south near High Wycombe, she ended up meeting someone at uni when she was in, I think it was Devon, also called Martin Jackson, also a musician. It's a little bit scary. There's also, if you search Martin Jackson on YouTube, it comes up with Martin Jackson vocal entertainer. It was this like,
Okay.
at least at the time of the video recording, as some guy in his 40s doing impressions.
Have you had them taken care of now?
Not yet.
Oof, you've heard it here. Right, I think we should probably take the time to
Should we crack on?
discuss some of your... Let's tell everyone about your current projects and what you've been
Okay.
working on. And
Okay, well, so I'm a full-time musician. Been doing music for a living for 8 years now, which has been a journey and a half. I feel very privileged to do that, as well as, been involved in a lot of hard work, but it doesn't come without certain levels of luck and stuff. But my main project, my sort of creative outlet, is a project called Confyde, spelled with a Y instead of an I, and that's essentially a project for my songwriting and my sort of creative vision. It's like my baby, as it were. And I write and produce everything. And we have a band that goes out and plays those songs in a live setting, doing a bit of a tour, inverted commas, at the moment.
So where are you touring currently?
So the big gig that's coming up soon is Northants Rocks Festival in Wellingborough. So we're on the main stage at 5 on the Saturday, which I'm looking forward to. I think the headlines are Confessions of a Traitor, so that's going to be fun. We've got a show warming up for Download Festival in Derby this Thursday. We're also playing in Loughborough on Sunday in a couple of weeks, on Sunday the 30th of June. It's been hard to fit in more gigs with Confyde because one of my main earners is singing for Chop Suey, the #1 tribute to System of a Down.
Number one?
Of course.
It is the #1.
I'm brilliant, by the way. I mean, I've seen them a couple of times. Have you?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Absolutely amazing.
I've said to Martin that I'm not the biggest System of a Down fan, but I thoroughly enjoyed their...
See, I like System of a Down, but
rendition
they
of it.
never... I mean, they're a rare band these days, aren't they?
They just don't play anymore. Like, they will play maybe once or twice a year in the United States, and then that's it. And one of the great things about Chop Suey is we are now touring in Europe, which means we are playing countries that maybe System have never played before, and more importantly, will never play again. Yeah. So we are like the next best thing to actually going to see System of a Down, and that takes up a lot of my time and a lot of my energy. It's wonderful. I'm very lucky to be in that band and to be touring and doing that, playing to amazing crowds every night. It's just a shame that it does mean that I don't get to go out and play with Confyde as much as I would like, but I feel I should be lucky to be doing it in the first place. So, but I also go out and I play solo acoustic singing covers a lot in bars and restaurants and stuff, and people's weddings and private events and stuff like that. And that really keeps me ticking over as alongside the System tribute as well. So those are my three main things, as it were. But
lots of variety.
Yeah,
massive variety. And is this something that you've done in the past, Martin, that you're proud of as well? Maybe including. Yeah. A band that maybe myself and the Danny Beardsley has been included into.
Just to rack my brain for a minute.
It is a long time ago.
It's a while now.
How old we all are now. But no, I was in an amazing project called Emperor Chung with these two fine gentlemen.
The Chung.
Elton John, you mean?
Yeah,
Elton John.
John.
And we were incredibly privileged to be opening the Pepsi Max stage at Download Festival in 2013.
We thought we'd get the download card in there nice and early.
Yeah, that's the reason you've invited me on first, isn't it? But and we also put out a full-length self-titled record in that same year, which I'm still incredibly proud of. We should all be incredibly proud of that record. It was...
What was it called, Martin?
It was called Emperor Chung. I already said it was a self-titled.
Indeed.
I always knew you wouldn't. You would have me on, but you wouldn't be listening. No. But
that must burn.
Some feedback there from Martin Jackson.
Then that was those days still hold a very dear place in my heart. I think we should be really proud of those songs, really proud of the shows we played, and to be up there at Download. That's most rock musicians' dream, to play Download Festival.
A truly dream come true, wasn't it?
Pete's too early.
Pete's far too early. So here we are doing a podcast.
This is what we've resorted to. I watched the music video, Vow This Day, recently.
Oh, yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed watching it again. I think I enjoyed watching it more now than I did back when we
spoke about this the other day, didn't we? It's improved with age.
Yeah, like a fine wine.
I think the animation style is really shining these days, whereas maybe at the time...
Yeah.
Not so much.
It was interesting getting people's different... I know Heather said that the reactions that each of us had to the music video were exactly the ones she predicted we would have. And for context, folks, the I Vow This Day video is an animated video that tells the story of the lyrics in the song. And I remember that Heather said that myself and Rich would be like, "Oh my God, that's so cool. I can't believe that's wicked. I can't believe that we've got a video that tells the story so faithfully." And then I think it was Eddie was like, "Oh, it's a bit shoddy actually. It's a bit low production, a little bit amateur." I was like,
it's managing your expectations. I was expecting Toy Story.
Yeah.
That level of animation, but I think it looks great.
It's not quite Toy Story, but it's not. I don't think it's amateur either. I think it's
not. No, it's not. It's just it wasn't what I was expecting.
Sure. I'm not amateur by any stretch. I think it's still a great piece of work, and also it is a distinctive art style as well.
Definitely.
Definitely. The chap who made it, it was Shred Guy.
Shred Guy.
Yes. Shout out to Shred Guy.
Paul.
We're going to have to put this in.
I want to say
in post.
Record this. Paul Benson. Maybe him, maybe someone else. I'd like to make a small amendment. My apologies. I meant Paul Benford, the animator of the Emperor Chung video, I Vow This Day. And now, back to the show.
You said earlier you haven't got a very good memory.
I've got
a
terrible memory.
That out.
Yeah, but he
pulled that out.
That's exactly what I meant by that.
I think he works for Nintendo now, if I'm correct.
No.
He does a lot of animation work now.
I believe he works for. He did work for Nintendo at one point,
based on the work he did for us.
I believe
based in his portfolio.
He worked on our music video and then was swept up by Nintendo. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Also, great guitar player, insane guitar player.
Yeah, indeed. And a really nice guy.
And his wife also is a wedding singer, Tammy.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Small world, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you was in one more band with us, me and Danny, before that, wasn't you, Martin?
Was I?
We
Before
played
Emperor
one gig as them.
Yes, we played as president. You know, I'd forgotten about that.
I've got that on his dad, the Danny Beardsley father, Gaz Beardsley. Recorded that. I've got the DVD of that at home.
Oh, amazing.
In the archive.
In the Emperor Chung archive.
So just, you know, it's just, we called ourselves a different name for our debut gig, just in case it sucked and that it was not associated with the name Emperor Chung. Once again, I have difficulty controlling the volume of my voice.
Diction, Martin.
But yes, President one gig band that we played in the heart of Leicestershire and then had to drive home in the snow. And myself and Richard Short and my girlfriend at the time, we sought refuge in a hotel because there was nowhere. The snow was so bad. We ended up knocking on the windows of this hotel saying, "Do you have any rooms, please? We're lost."
This is almost like the story of Mary and Joseph.
A little bit, yeah. And they did actually have some rooms for us, even though they were technically shut. And yeah,
Room at the inn.
there was room at the inn.
How did we get home? Did we just
drove.
we just drove through the snow?
Yeah, we managed to make it through. I don't know what they were playing at.
Okay. Might have been our more dangerous approach to driving, maybe.
They took a wrong turn, I think.
It's always the way.
Indeed.
It's always the way.
So in this band, this is a really important question, Martin, because you could say you're a multi-instrumentalist.
I suppose I am, yeah.
Because you sing, you play guitar, you play bass.
Yes.
So what position in this dream band are you going to take up?
So I've given, as I mentioned before we started, I have changed my mind on all aspects of this multiple times. And I've just had to go for the answers that I'm just going to have to set parameters and stick to it. So I was thinking about Confyde and what Confyde is. And that's basically my sort of creative vehicle for the music that I want to make and kind of like my inverted commas brand, right? So I thought about what, if I could just choose any members to be in Confyde, who would it be? So I thought to make things easy, make my choices more easy, I'm just going to say I'm going to be the vocalist in this band.
Okay.
And that frees me up to choose musicians that are better at the other instruments I do than I am, in terms of like delivering not just the best versions of the songs, but the best show as well. So,
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I'm down with that. You're a great singer, Martin. So
Yep.
It's not a rule.
Right. I'm going to run you through some rules.
All right, then.
Now, I don't know if you've had this in the email already, but...
I have.
Right. So any of these members that you choose, you cannot have been in a band with them before in the past.
So
Or
I know.
be
Hang on,
currently in
Danny.
the band.
Hang on. I know that it was probably going to choose me on bass.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that choice has been taken away from you.
Yeah.
My heart is broken into a million pieces.
Unfortunately, it would be.
And the second rule
Yeah.
is you cannot choose multiple members from the same band.
I remember,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Simple rule. There is also a little treat at the end that Dan's added on.
Oh, an
Yeah,
unexpected treat.
An unexpected treat.
It's not really a treat for you.
Yeah.
It's a treat for us, really.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
not
treat
for you.
for us.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'm still looking forward to it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so your first member, your dream drummer. Who is it?
It's so tough. Again, I changed my mind on all of these multiple times. But I was thinking, Confyde's music and the music that I want to write is very eclectic. You know, it's very much a rock project, but some tracks are like metal songs. Some of them are very acousticy, fingerstyle-y. Some are jazzy. Some have got hip-hop influences. Some of them are punky. It's very all over the place. And in choosing these musicians, this was a big factor. They've got to be able to play and also be passionate about multiple styles of music like I am. And I was thinking about this for a long time. And I had to settle on Thomas Pridgen from the Mars Volta. And
Ooh, I didn't see that coming.
now the Mars Volta, again, it's very much a project of Omar and Cedric, who are the two main members. And they've very much got a revolving door of musicians who they've hired to play on these different albums and tour cycles and stuff. So Thomas Pridgen was never a permanent member of the Mars Volta, right? But he played on their Bedlam in Goliath album. And he's also done several other projects in different styles. And the Mars Volta are another band who's incredibly eclectic in the music they play. It's a bit And not only did it need somebody who was technically capable of playing all those crazy bits when needed, also knew when to hold back and let the song breathe and serve the song.
Yeah, very important.
And the Mars Volta have some ridiculous, over-the-top musical sections, but also some much more accessible tracks where the drums are just chill in the background and letting the vocal take over. And Cedric's got an amazing voice. So, yes, Thomas Bridgen, he's an absolute beast.
Have you seen him play live at all?
Yes, I have seen the Mars Volta on the Bedlam and Goliath tour, actually. That was, oh my God. I saw them at the Roundhouse in London, and I can't remember the exact year, but it was before 2010. It was a long time ago. I was still a teenager, I think. And yeah, I was blown away by the performance. And a lot of the Mars Volta music involves a lot of improvisation. There's a big jazz influence even on the songwriting. So even though there will be these main sections and ideas, and some of the songs are very structured in that way, but other ones have a huge room for improvisation and might have actually very few ideas, but like elongated. So, for example, they opened with the title track Goliath, which is usually it's about 7 minutes long. There's maybe 3 main ideas. They extended it to 20 minutes as the opening song, at about twice the tempo. And so all of the members of the band are improvising at some point, and what he was doing with the song on the record is already impressive and cool. But live, it was just another level. It was just a gog at the technical ability and the feel and the groove. I was just like, it really, really scratched an itch, that one. It was incredible.
Left quite the impression.
Does he give it? So I've seen a few videos I've never seen them live myself, but I've seen a few videos online of them live, and they go absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's nothing else
So
like it, really.
has he got that same energy that the Volta have?
Yeah, he's a bit, and what's great about watching Tom play is that he really looks like he's enjoying himself. He's got a massive grin on his face when he's playing the most ridiculous fill or 11/8 groove that he's doing. I think he was also a member, I think, of it's Kill or Be Killed, which also is a super group with members of Sepultura, Dillinger Escape Plan, and Mastodon. And so that's very much
That sounds amazing to me.
Well, let's check them out.
it's a very aggressive, like, metal track. So he knows when to just settle back into a killer groove and just chug away, rather than just, we'll just do all this jazz stuff.
Just bum chat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Bum chat.
Yeah.
There's some of my favourite drum moments. They're just to lay back into the groove.
Oh, and let the other instruments do the talking.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
But then there's like tasty fills for the transitions between different sections. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah. I'd recommend anyone go see the Mars Volta live. There is literally nothing else like it.
Have you met the guy before?
No,
No,
I've
not
never
been
met
lucky
anyone
enough.
from the Mars Volta. No, sadly.
Fortunate.
I probably when we talk about the Mars Volta, we are really talking about Cedric and Omar, the guitar player and the singer. They're the only two constant members.
They're the two guys that I've heard of, I'm familiar with. So
Yeah.
Which one's got the big hair?
Cedric, singer, yeah. Although he has done something with his hair recently, but I probably wouldn't. He doesn't seem like a very nice guy, to be honest. Cedric, he seems a little bit cynical.
Cynical Cedric.
Yeah, I've read a lot. I've read some interviews and like studio diaries from the Mars Volta, and it seems like a very frustrating process. Omar himself, the guitar player, says he doesn't even like the guitar as an instrument, but he's just like, it's the one I learned. So it's just like stuck with it.
What?
And they've got an album called Amputecture, where Omar and Cedric wrote the material together, and as always, they brought all these world-class musicians to play and interpret the material around it. 90% of the guitars on that record are played by John Frusciante.
No.
Yeah. Under the instruction of Omar. Yeah.
Well, you just didn't want to play them, or?
You'll play it better. I don't like
To
the
be
guitar.
fair,
You play it.
he probably does play it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a worthy choice, isn't it?
I
To
mean,
play on
he's
your album.
brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah.
Have you got any honourable mentions? Anybody else that kind of
Could have fit the bill.
almost made it?
Almost made it. It almost seemed like a cop-out and almost too obvious, but I wanted to say Mike Portnoy.
Of Dream Theater.
Oh,
But it's...
Well, formerly. Formerly.
Oh, no, he's rejoined Dream Theater.
Oh, is he
Yeah.
back?
Yeah.
Winery Dogs and whatever else he's in.
He's one of those musicians that's played in so many bands, played so many different styles, played with so many world-class musicians. Like,
He was in Avenged Sevenfold, wasn't he?
he was briefly in Avenged Sevenfold, and he played on their Nightmare album.
Yes.
Ah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. I'm a bit behind on the Dream Theater kind of.
Saga. Well, they've not
Saga.
made many good records for a while. But I'm being a bit harsh. That they've made the last 10 years. They've done some good music, but it's not inspired me. And I think part of that is because nothing against Mike Mangini as a drummer, he's incredible. But I feel like Portnoy was one of the forces pushing Dream Theater to do something different with every record. Whereas I feel like the last few Dream Theater records have very much been Dream Theater by numbers. And that's the last thing you want out of a prog band.
No.
Really?
What's my favourite Dream Theater song? It's that ballad.
Give me nothing.
No.
Ballad is like The Spirit Goes On. Spirit Carries On.
No.
Is that on Scenes from a Memory? That album is
It's
masterpiece.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's the perfect Dream Theater record. And it's like one of the few records that as soon as the first time I heard it, I just sent it back to the beginning and played it again.
Yeah.
Immediately afterwards. I was like, it's perfect.
It's the first time I heard Petrucci, and it was like, what?
Yeah. And it's like, not just like, obviously we can talk about how brilliant Dream Theater are instrumentally, but the songwriting of that album is top notch. It tells an amazing story. The songs are memorable. The instrumental parts are memorable as well. It's not just for its own sake. And it's just.
I think a lot of the modern stuff is just for the sake of it.
I do get quite bored of that.
I mean, I'm always impressed by John Young's bass playing. It's incredible.
Yeah.
His three
Amazing.
finger. It's not even bass anymore, is it? It's just an automated machine.
They're just next level, aren't they? Those musicians.
They're incredible.
But for sure, Mike Portnoy is another one of those people who can play the most ridiculously complicated thing, but then he is very happy just to settle into a groove and just let the song breathe.
Yeah, absolutely. But he has got a signature sound as well, hasn't he? You can tell it's him playing.
For sure. But Tom Pridgen just edged it for me, almost because I thought Mike was just too obvious. I feel like everybody, and answer to this, especially a lot of rock musicians and metal musicians, a lot of them would just choose Mike Portnoy because he is so amazing. It's almost like the default. Yeah, we'd all want Mike Portnoy in our band. Of course we would.
We'll see how many Mike Portnoys we end up with at the end of the year, Danny.
We'll have to find out.
We'll
won't we?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
So next up.
Next, we're going to choose the rhythm. Are you going for a rhythm guitar player? Or are you going to have two guitar players that cover both bases? Or are you going to have a keys player?
So, I don't know if this is bending the rules a little bit.
I'll let you know.
I'm sure you will.
He will let you know.
I hope you're not going to smack me or anything nasty like that if I break the rules. I don't know what the consequences are.
I'll save violence for after the podcast.
Oh,
okay?
okay.
I don't want our listeners to
So there's no
hear the beating.
evidence.
And I'll do rib shots only.
Rib shots.
Watch out for the leg kicks.
Leg kicks. That's another leg kick.
So, I thought I would take the opportunity for one of the member slots to go for an unsigned local musician.
That is absolutely fine, Martin.
Yeah, that's fine.
And now the rule was I can't have been in a band with him before.
Correct.
Okay. Now I have collaborated with this guy on a song.
We were talking about this earlier. Collaborations are fine.
We have written a song together. We meant to release it last year, but we ran out of time. We're both too busy. So we'll probably release it this year. It was a Christmas song.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, and it was like no other Christmas song you've ever heard, right? But this is a chap I've admired for a long time. We got to know each other really well during the lockdown because we were both producing and recording music during the lockdown and putting it out there. He's an artist I've got a lot of respect for, not just as a musician, but also as a person. He's incredibly wholesome. He's got a lot of really cool things to say, and he's become a dear friend to me, even though I don't see him very often. He's a chap called Dathan Horridge.
Dathan.
Yeah, and he goes out now under the name Dathan Horridge, but most of his music up until very recently was under the name Shruzik. And he is another multi-instrumentalist, so he sings really well. He plays the guitar, the bass. He can play, but he plays the drums really well. But he's an incredible piano player and keyboard player and sound designer. Which is an area of music production that is not my strength at all. So in terms of like that, and he self-produces all his own music.
Yep.
And a lot of his more recent output towards the industry is very keyboard heavy, very piano heavy, and he can do all this really cool sound design in terms of like electronic music, like industrial, and almost like synth pop stuff, some hip hop stuff. He's got an incredible. I'm always baffled by the range and eclecticism of his music, which is why it's, you know, a lot of it's what I try to do. And at the same time, he writes incredibly memorable and catchy and quirky songs. He's not afraid to sing about whatever he wants. It could be really, really serious, or it could be ridiculous and very silly at this as well.
Yeah.
Which is really refreshing. So I would love to have him doing keyboards and like sound design in this band. So I've wanted to work with him for a long time, and he would be such a pleasure to work with. He'd have a lot of stage energy as well. He could also sing backup vocals if that's allowed.
I'll allow it.
Okay.
Yeah. We talked about this as
We
well.
talked about that.
Yeah,
If they can do backing vocals,
Yeah.
why would we not give them a microphone?
Yeah. It would be a waste
And yeah.
if they didn't.
Indeed.
Now, this is where I thought I'd bend the rules, because
Oh, okay.
Hang on. I thought that was the rule bending.
No,
What's
it's not.
happening
the
here?
Rule, the rule bender is that he could also play guitar.
Shut him down.
I mean, we can't. I can't stop what you do in the studio, Martin. If you want to get him to lay some tracks in the studio, that's fine.
Okay.
But at no point can this guy be on stage with you with a guitar.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Otherwise, the sniper will get him.
It's strictly one instrument.
Strictly one
Okay,
instrument.
fair enough.
Like I said, if you want to record an album with him, he can lay some guitars down
Okay.
in the studio, but I'm not allowing it in a live setting.
Then fair enough. You heard it here, Dathan.
His rules, not mine.
A big shout out to Dathan.
Our rules.
It is our rules.
Because I just think about some bands like Talking Heads, for example, whose different members would play multiple instruments. So Jerry Harrison in Talking Heads was originally hired as a guitar player, but he could also play keys as well, depending upon the song. So in an ideal situation, that's what Dathan would do with me in this particular idea. But if he's not allowed to play guitar, then he'll just have to be on keys.
Martin, there's got to be rules.
Okay, I
Otherwise, things can spread.
Yeah.
And you'll be playing every instrument. Dave will be doing a guitar solo on top of his keyboard. No one wants to see any of that. Not
Yeah.
really.
Okay, fair. Well, yeah. So he's shout out to you, Dathan, mate. I can absolutely keep smashing it.
So is he doing anything at the minute? Is it just his own projects under his own name? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going under Dathan Horridge now, and his musical output's changed a lot, whereas before he was doing much more very produced home studio kind of style recordings with a lot of synths and a lot of layered sounds. Now he's going for much more stripped back, just him and the piano or him and the acoustic guitar now. So it's almost a little bit of a different attitude to the songwriting and performance process. A lot of his music videos before was him miming to the tracks and putting together lots of different clips. He was self-producing all his own videos. Now it's just him, one camera, just the performance of the song, which is great to see him be able to do both. He's a very multi-talented guy.
Cool. We need to give him a listen then, really.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
We'll share his socials as well on the
Oh, yeah, we'll get him shared.
on the end.
Hell yeah, do it. He needs, honestly, it makes me sad that he is not more recognized as a musician. I think because some of his music, as I say, is accessible to your average listener, but some of it is just very out there, very experimental, very silly in places, and that's partially why I love it. He's not afraid to be silly and be funny and quirky and zany and a bit Mr. Bungle about it, or a bit, sort of Frank Zappa about it.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah,
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Oh, you
So
like that, don't you?
absolutely, go check out his old project Shruzik. There's a wealth of music on there. Everything from drum and bass and synth pop to ambient music, and then there's some experimental industrial rock, and then there's some indie. It's very all over the place. There's ballads. It's beautiful.
Anyway, enough of promoting Dave and Horridge. Let's move on to any honourable mentions. So have you got any other members you think could fill this spot?
I had thought about having a guitar player as a rhythm guitar player, and in the end I decided against it and have Dathan instead, and gives us more options in terms of the music we can make together. I originally thought Mike Einziger from Incubus.
Oh, that is an outstanding choice.
Sounds lovely.
So underrated.
He's such a great player, like chord voicings, tone, stylistic variety, tastefulness, because he's got the lead chops, but very often he's very like serving the song.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
like, the Incubus discography is so eclectic.
It's the effects as well.
Yes.
He's like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
master
yeah.
of effects, isn't he?
Huge effects, a god. And that also it just kind of contributes to the sonic palette that the band can deliver. But one thing I will say is like one of the conditions I thought, like, if Einziger's going to be in this band, I want him to also be able to play like he did back in the Science and a Funk Among Us days. Fungus Among Us days, which I know he wouldn't want to do. It's like, I'm not playing active pickups through a PRS anymore, mine. That's for teenagers. I'm like, and I was like, no, it's not. Yes, it is. I play single coil now through a valve amp like an adult. So know.
You've imagined you've imagined the arguments you'd have with this member before you even started.
And I know
that's brilliant. You've really thought about this.
There are things that I would want him to play that he would be like, no, mine. I'm not 12. Like,
no, Martin, this is your dream band lineup. He'll do whatever you want. He's your slave in this situation.
Don't make me reconsider my choices.
That's fine. No.
But yeah, it's not just about the musicianship; it's about the chemistry as well. Like, and I say, like, I don't know much about what Mike is like as a person, but when I think about the stylistic journey that Incubus have made, there's a reason that he doesn't play in that style anymore, except live, and even then, he's still interpreting the old material with the way and the rig that he currently has.
It's a bit more subdued.
Yeah, it's lower gain. I love all that stuff. It's lower gain, much more single coil stuff, much more. There's a lot more space for the stuff to breathe, and I love that. But I would also want him to embrace the higher gain, chuggy chug 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 from the old days too.
Well, he's achieved that on the latest reimagined version of Morning View. Have you listened to that yet?
I've not listened to that actually. No,
it's a really, really good production.
Okay.
Yeah, and interpretation of that incredible album. Surely we're all a fan of that album, aren't we?
Of course,
yeah,
of course. It's an incredible album.
The rhythm section is a lot more crisp and punchy.
Okay.
And the guitars have still got that kind of filth there.
Okay.
But there's a lot more high-end shimmer because he's probably using some sort of, I don't know, a Jaguar or something. Is he play? Telecasters?
I imagine Telecaster.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit Telecaster-ish.
So it hasn't got that, I love the hollow body arch top era that he used to have. But
question is, sorry, continue.
No, that's fine.
I was going to say, like, in terms of the production, is it still got a level of organicness to it? It's not. It doesn't sound like a lot of. I mean, I don't want to get too much into like my bugbears with a lot of modern rock production.
We were talking about this literally about an hour ago, Martin. About rock, it all sounds the same. It's all high gain and.
Basically, I just want to make sure that it doesn't sound like Falling in Reverse or Sleep Token, right?
No.
Like that kind of production. Yeah.
It's still very dynamic,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of they've extended sections. So there's like, I don't know if it's improv or not, but they've kind of extended sections and there's a bit more. It sounds like they've incorporated things that they've put into their live set gradually over, like added extra sections in. I'd say the only thing that takes a little bit of adjustment is the vocals.
Okay.
Tonally, they're a little bit different. It's not that they're bad. It's just being familiar with the old album well.
I suppose he will have a different instrument now to the one.
Yeah,
he
it just
had been.
changes, doesn't it, over time? That's all. So. Yeah, definitely listen to it, mate. I think you'll like it.
Awesome. It's just, I was just so keen to I just want to make sure that it still sounds like it's being played by humans and not by robots.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
100%,
That's awesome.
Yeah. We're going to move on.
Okay.
To the low end.
The rumble from down under.
We want you to choose your ultimate bass player.
Okay.
It can't be Dan Dan.
Unfortunately for you. Unfortunately for you.
I don't know how I'm going to cope.
Great. It's a great thing. There's plenty of amazing bass players out there. So,
this was actually the easiest choice.
Not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah. No, first of all, I had a massive meltdown and just stopped my eyes out that I couldn't have Dan Dan in the band.
Of course, we provided tissues in case you want to cry about that right now.
Thank you. But in the end,
In doubt, slide out.
slide it out. In the end, I chose Martin Mendez from Opeth.
Oh, great choice.
Yes.
Absolute chops on that fella.
I'm not surprised about that, actually. It's a very good choice.
Well, Opeth are my favourite band ever. I'm an Opeth fanboy, and Michael Ockefeld is my idol.
What a compliment, though, is that's your favourite band, and you pick the bass player.
Absolutely.
That's amazing, isn't it?
And here's the thing, like, obviously, like, it's tough for me to make these decisions because all my favorite musicians are the people who inspire me the most are people who do what I do. They sing and they write songs and they play guitar, right? But I can't just have a band full of Michael Ockefeld, Jeff Buckley, and Chris Cornell and Miles Kennedy, right? That's just not going to work. And it doesn't work with the rules either.
No.
So I was thinking, there's so many bass players that I'm at. But Martin Mendez is just so good. Like, technically brilliant, obviously we know Michael writes all the songs in Opeth, but Martin Mendez writes his bass lines. And what he does around what Michael has written is always complements it so perfectly. And it's, especially with a lot of metal bands, a lot of the bass's function is just to play the root notes. And whereas even with Opeth, where some of the riffs are a little more complicated, more less standard, and a lot of Opeth riffs are not standard metal riffs at all. Even though it would be unfair to call them a metal band because their eclecticism of their sound is so broad. And again, another reason why I would pick Mendez, because he can play an amazing bass line over like an unusual metal riff, but then sink back into some jazz playing. He can play really simple if it's like a singer-songwriter ballad. He's got some funk chops as well that you can hear on some of the latest stuff, like on songs like The Lotus Eater or things like that. And also, he's also got a good amount of stage presence as well. I would prefer to have Martin Mendez from the mid-2000s where he still had all his hair and wasn't afraid to headbang. These days he does stay a little bit static. But, he's just...
We can bring him back.
Yeah, we can bring him back.
Yeah.
It's your dream band, Martin. You can make him do whatever you like, whatever you want him to do.
You can program him.
I said I wanted humans, not robots. Yeah. But absolutely outstanding musician and clearly like quite a chill, nice guy. I've watched interviews with him. Even though his English isn't great, I don't really care. He's a lovely guy, outstanding bass player, and
neither's mine.
I mean, you are from what, Kirkcallam?
No comment.
Apologies to all our listeners from Kirkcallam.
I love you all, really.
Have you? You've obviously seen Opeth many times before. Is there an outstanding performance you've seen from him?
I've seen them an unhealthy number of times. Every time Opeth come to the UK, I always see them play. I've seen them 16 times, and
that is a fan. That is a real fan.
The only tour I missed was when they did the anniversary tour for Ghost Reveries. My little heartbreak when I saw it sold out.
Oh no, you're not a fan anymore.
But
you missed that show. That's it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to. Probably, I've seen them so many times now, but I think actually the most recent time I saw them play was my favourite, which was what was meant to be their 30th anniversary, and it was their 32nd anniversary because obviously COVID postponed the show. And it was a show where they played a song from every record.
Ooh.
Oh, was that voted by people?
And it was voted by people, which I think was
I heard about that.
bad decision.
Oh, okay. Tell us why.
Because what it means is you've got a band with a repertoire, a 30-year career. I think it's 13 albums they've done. And Opeth is not a band with singles. Like, you have to have a single because the record label, and you've got to promote a single. But for me, and I think for most Opeth fans, every song from every record has something special about it. There is no obvious choice for this is the song you've definitely got to have from this record. But what it meant is when you get people to choose which songs, you end up getting the people who are sort of casual fans of Opeth choosing the more obvious ones. So we got Ghost of Perdition and Deliverance and Sorceress and all the very obvious ones.
The lead singles.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, like, Deliverance isn't a single. It's 13 minutes long.
Wow.
But it's also, like...
the best song on that album.
Debatable. But...
So you voted for that?
I didn't vote, unfortunately, but I do like Deliverance.
But in spite of some of being a little bit disappointed with some of the song choices, because it was an opportunity where we could have heard songs which haven't seen as much lifetime as the others, it was still a magical show. And one part where I actually made me cry, actually, during the end of one of the songs that I actually resented the most, which was Demon of the Fall. I was like, they play Demon of the Fall all the time. We could have any other song from My Arms Around Her. But the ending part of Demon of the Fall, which in most of the song is very aggressive, very dark, evil riffs, lots of screaming. But the very last part, he goes into his clean voice, and it's like this big resolution of sorrow, of course, because it's Opeth. And the lyrics just hit me a bit hard in that moment because I was going through something quite tough, emotionally speaking, and the lyrics just hit me in a way that they haven't before in the last 20 years of being an Opeth fan. So... yeah, it was just really magical. And they also played Black Crowes Immortal for the first time.
Oh, wow.
All 20 minutes of it. And it was
perfect.
It was
I imagine.
perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect. But also it was better than the studio recording because they recorded and released that song in 1995. And the production on that album kind of sucks. Even if the songwriting, I think, is brilliant. The musicianship is brilliant. but they're even better musicians now. They've got people like Frederick in the band, and they had Valtteri, the new drummer, who is exceptional. They've now got keyboards to add to the mix.
Yep. They always needed keyboards, really, didn't they?
Yeah. The quality of their rig is much better. The production, the live production is much better. So it was like, I was almost like a little bit like, is it going to be that good? People have only chosen it because it's so long. But it really was like listening to a new track in terms of like for the first time. And I was like, is this going to be? But it was really the centerpiece of the show. I would love to hear what that sounds like from the desk. It was chef's kiss. Brilliant.
Where was that, Martin?
That was at the Hammersmith Apollo.
Brilliant.
In London in 2022.
I do have to mention the bass tone, though. It's like out of this world, isn't it?
Yeah.
So good.
It just, again, it fits the music perfectly. And the way he changes his style for the song, so slap pop in and kind of...
Yeah.
It's just a master of the instrument.
He is
A true legend, yeah. I've been thinking about my dream lineup, which we're not going to do yet, but we're going to do eventually. He's up there at the minute for bass players, but
have you got any other mentions? Anyone else that you might have
runners up?
Yeah,
within the rules.
I'm just intrigued. That's all.
Almost, I did, but as I said, this was the easiest choice for me. Like, it was like Martin Mendes, obviously, but I'd also thought about Billy Sheehan.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't expecting that one.
I saw Mr. Big at Rock City recently.
But he has been in a band with Mike Portnoy.
Yeah.
Oh,
So if you'd have chosen Mike Portnoy as well,
it would have been
a clash.
Yeah, but he also, like, I don't know Billy Sheehan's music, but I just remember being so impressed with his technical ability. And
he definitely did a solo, didn't he?
He did multiple
He
solos.
did, exactly, I know. He can't stop himself.
And also, again, he's also somebody that knows how to serve the song. Like, when people think of Mr. Big, they think of all those really big, catchy, memorable songs, along with, like, obviously ridiculous virtuosic playing, right?
Yes, he played with Steve Vai for years, didn't
Yeah.
he? Dueling with Steve Vai. I mean,
yeah, exactly. He did though. He kept up with Steve Vai all those years.
Yeah.
I say kept up with. I think Steve Vai was probably keeping up with him at times.
Sure.
The speed of them fingers.
I know, right? It's ridiculous.
Was he playing his signature Yamaha?
The double neck thing.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's
Yeah.
so ridiculous. There was a part where he sung, actually. They swapped instruments, and Eric played bass, and then Billy sang.
Of course.
Unfortunately, Eric's voice is completely shot. He cannot sing anymore. And so, actually, that was the best the vocals had sounded all night.
Allegedly.
Allegedly
what?
His voice is shot. Let's get in there in case his lawyers come after us, Martin.
Oh, I see. I know it's not fair, but I think everyone who went to that Rock City show will agree that, unfortunately, the poor guy, I really felt for him, actually. Eric Martin. Is Eric Martin?
that name rings a bell. We've had time to check our facts, and we can confirm his name is Eric Martin.
I think it is Eric Martin. Yeah, he had an unbelievable voice back in the day. But unfortunately, years and years and years of touring and I don't know what else, or health issues, unfortunately, it was just poor guy. You could tell he was struggling.
Oh.
I really felt for him. But anyway, but yeah, Martin Mendes, king.
Boom.
Thank you, Martin. Next up, we have your dream lead guitarist. Who are you picking?
This was so tough. This was the hardest part.
To be fair, I think this is, I don't know, vocalist might be the hardest for me, but the lead guitar is very hard to choose.
Yeah, vocals.
I'm probably even going to change my mind as I'm actually telling you this.
Well, if you do, make sure you get them down as an honourable mention at the end. Okay?
I will. There's like 8 billion honourable mentions. There's so many amazing lead guitar players. It's just...
You can only have one.
I know. And again, we've got to think about... The criteria for me was... Obviously, high level of technical ability. So there's no real limitations in what we can play. Also knows how to serve the song. Not just overplay. Also familiar with a multiple range of styles and stuff, but also can put on a great show as well. He isn't just going to stand there, right? So tough. So
I can tell
tough.
this is really paining you, Martin.
It really is. I'm literally like, ooh, sorry, knocking the mic over there in my frustration.
I know, I can see it. I can see the tension rising.
And it's really tough. But also, when I was thinking about, I had one of the original lineups I had in my mind for this mythical band when I stood back from like the whole thing together, I realized that one of the original lineups I'd come up with, like, you know what, this is a band full of old men. And I was like,
it happens.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm only 35. I don't think of myself as an old man yet. So I think, and also if we've got someone like Dathan in the band, he's about my age as well. So I was thinking it's like important we have some younger talent as well. People who are on the up, not people who just have, it's very, almost too easy to pick somebody who has an existing massive legacy already of music. So can I do my honourable mention first?
Oh, this is non-standard, but
I think we'll allow it.
I was going to say I'm willing to if you are, Danny.
Yeah,
So,
I'm intrigued.
This is an incredibly close second. Okay. And this might make my actual pick make you raise an eyebrow and go, what the hell, Mike?
Well, I like how we build in tension here. We kind of build into your final pick.
I'm glad you noticed.
And I like it. I like it's something we should use on future podcasts, Danny.
So my honourable mention is Guthrie Govan.
Oh, how's he? I mean, I'm only going to be disappointed.
I just need time to...
Oh, Guthrie's smooth playing.
Guthrie is,
Smoothest.
I think, the best guitar player in the world. I think Guthrie is the best guitar player in the world. He is.
But he's only your honourable mention.
Yes, he's the honourable mention.
Right?
Okay.
Are you all right, Danny? Before we carry on,
I'm just trying to digest that. Okay.
I know, I can see the shock on your face.
No, this is good.
So, obviously, technically perfect. Can play any style of music you throw at him in a range of tones, range of styles, knows when not to play, knows when to play a lot. Clearly a lovely man, right? Exceptional human being. Unfortunately for me, where he fell down was in terms of things like stage presence and rock and roll attitude, because I want this to be a show. Like, mid-noughties Martin Mendes is going crazy with his hair. I know Dathan is an insane amount of stage presence. I know he may be behind the keyboards, but I can see him being more of like a Trent Reznor behind the keyboards.
You can have a guitar.
He can
have a guitar.
It's a little bit 80s.
But you can really...
The 80s are back, Martin. You've seen all the mullets on the street.
But I know that he would give it that sort of Trent Reznor keyboard energy like a Woodstock. You've seen those clips of like absolutely beating the crap out of this keyboard.
Yeah. Yep. Or the Rammstein keyboard player.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you can't say he hasn't got any stage presence, can you?
No. But also at the same time, I didn't want this to be a band full of old men as well. I wanted like some really more new upcoming talent that I admire.
Some fresh blood.
Right? That also is going to push against some of the people who might be more set in their ways, like Martin Mendes or Thomas Pridgeon, right?
Okay.
Just realised there's two Martins in the band, actually. It's me and Martin Mendes.
There's no rule against
I know,
two Martins.
I just
but
realised that. So,
it's okay.
I'm glad it's not entirely made up of Martins, though, because that would be a little bit weird.
So
Martin and Marty. So we can keep it.
Jackson and Mendes. Ooh, that has a ring to it. And I was thinking about who is a much younger musician that can teach us things, right? Who can play to a high technical level, who can play in a multiple range of styles, is going to have a strong stage presence, is going to be fun to work with, is going to put on a show. Now, this musician has not played many shows with their actual project very much, but they are a seasoned musician and have played a lot, okay? So, and, you know, they could also sing backing vocals as well.
We'll allow it.
Again, we'll allow that.
Okay. If one of those doesn't exist, I would choose Teresa, who has played guitar for Chop Suey a couple of times and played bass for Chop Suey. She's an incredible musician. She's quite a bit younger than the rest of us. She's got huge amount of stage energy. She loves a lot of different styles of music, and she's one of my best friends. But obviously I can't because I played with her before.
Exactly.
Now, this person is mostly known for being a social media influencer, but she is a seasoned musician that has played live a lot. Unlike a lot of sort of social media guitar players who have mostly played in their bedroom. You watch someone like Stevie T, who's an outstanding guitar player. You watch him on stage, he is wooden.
Yep.
So he stands there and plays.
Not used to it.
Even though he's an amazing musician and quite hilarious. So, and I've only discovered this musician recently. Do you know Erin Coburn?
No.
No.
Okay, worth checking her out. She, again, outstanding guitar chops, great riffage, great songwriter, outstanding singer as well. And of course, is someone who is much younger, is going to bring a lot of stage energy, has a lot of seasoned experience.
And bring the average age of the band down.
That does help a lot. And again, can teach us things as older people.
What, like how to use social media and things?
I mean, not necessarily, like more from, that's the whole joy of it, is I don't even know what it is she can teach us.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
How do you know being taught?
Exactly. And and also it's great to have a woman in the band as well, not just a sausage fest. So, yeah, I remember watching a lot of her videos, and like she also seems like a really wholesome person as well, fun to work with. Has done a lot of collaborations. She's really invested in tone as well. She does a lot of tone-based videos.
We love tone.
We love tone.
We love tone.
So like when it comes to tone, you just know she's going to be top notch. She's got amazing like lead chops. The riffs are sick, and it was a tough call because I really, really wanted Guthrie in the band, but
he's been chucked out. he had his audition, and unfortunately, Guthrie, you're too old. Get out. Yeah.
You're too old and you didn't rock hard enough.
You're too old. You're too male. Get out of the band.
Too.
And you gotta think.
But you are, in Martin's words, the best guitarist ever.
You are the best guitar player in the world, Guthrie. Please don't hate me. He's the great guitar player.
We'll have you on, Guthrie, and you can build your band without Martin Jackson.
It's okay, Guthrie. Maybe someone else will choose you.
I'm pretty sure someone else.
You know what? If I'm Guthrie's honourable mention as a vocalist, I'll take that any day.
Okay, so next up, Martin, we're on to the dream vocalist, which obviously you are fulfilling that role. But let's talk about if you wasn't going to be in the band yourself, who would you have as your vocalist? I think I can guess.
Can you? I don't think you're going to guess correctly.
Okay.
I think I can guess.
Can you?
Well, Danny, you guess first. You have a look.
Do you want me to?
Actually, let's have your guesses first.
Okay. I think he would choose Jeff Buckley.
Oh, mine was also Jeff Buckley. So,
okay.
It's a strong choice, and I did think about this because Jeff is one of my greatest influences of all time. He was snatched away from us all too soon. He was a beautiful soul with an incredible voice, a gift for songwriting and arrangement and everything else. And also, you watch videos of him, he's just such a wholesome, like, gentle person.
Yeah.
And somebody whose voice just exuded just pure soul and emotion and freedom is everything that I want to, almost everything that I want to be as a singer. But
that's not enough.
So, honourable mention to Jeff Buckley. When I think about Confyde's music, and I want to be an eclectic artist that is able to take on a lot of different styles of music. And Jeff had a very distinctive style that he played and that he sang. There was one slightly rockier song on Grace. It's called Eternal Life, and he had a bit of a nice gravelly growl going on there too. Mostly known for his big falsetto and his big high mixed voice as well, which is my what I want to be able to do best as I can. But again, he didn't really. There was some criteria where, like, you know what, there are things that I want to do as a singer and as a musician and songwriter that Jeff would never do. He would never want to do that. So, if I wasn't allowed to sing in my own band and I had to choose anyone else to sing for me,
okay,
I would choose Daniel Gildenlow from Pain of Salvation.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
That's a band I've not heard of them for ages.
Yeah, Martin introduced me to them.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
He's...
What album was it you showed me? The one where he's like recovering from an illness or something?
Oh, that was In the Passing Light of Day.
It's immense.
It's so good. So brilliantly written. Pain of Salvation have that perfect blend of being like ambitious and unconventional in their songwriting and eclectic, but at the same time being memorable and also really tugging on your heartstrings. Like,
quite raw, if I remember correctly,
yeah,
as well.
that whole album is about him literally. He wrote it while he was in the hospital suffering from flesh-eating bacterial disease. He thought he had to come to terms with the fact that he thought I'm gonna have to accept that I'm probably going to die.
I'm going to be eaten
literally
by bacteria.
He had to come to terms with his own mortality, so a lot of the lyrics are him reflecting on that, and not just him reflecting on his own mortality in terms of in the moment and being scared and being in pain, but also him reflecting on his life choices. It's quite hard to listen to in places. I'm getting emotional actually talking about it. But it's also, he treats that album almost as a part 2 to an album that they did back in the early 2000s called Remedy Lane, which is in my top 5 albums of all time. And that album always makes me cry. I relate to it too much. Like the songwriting and the exploration of the themes of love and intimacy and stuff are ones that I relate to really well as some things I've struggled with. And Daniel is a multi-instrumentalist as well. Like, he's an insane guitarist. He's like virtuosic player. He can play bass, drums, keys. He arranges, produces everything. Quite a few Pain of Salvation album songs, especially in some of the later stuff, he is just playing everything and singing multiple parts. But then every other member of Pain of Salvation is also a world-class musician. Daniel's voice, especially in those early 2000s days, is just outstanding. Like nothing else I've ever heard. So much freedom. He's got those really high mixed voice notes, those really powerful vibrato that just seems to effortlessly slide up and just exude freedom and self-expression without any hindrance whatsoever. Maybe there are a couple of parts where you're like, that wasn't really necessary, Daniel. You're just showing off at this point. But
Why not?
That is my experience of Pain of Salvation, to be fair. From being honest, is a little bit over the top for me.
Especially like some of the earlier albums, like The Perfect Element. In Remedy Lane, he did rein in some of that vocal acrobatics, like over the top, and he made those big notes really count this time, rather than just being always like, listen to how amazing my voice is. And so on that album, there's a lot more ebb and flow. He's got all these different textures he can sing with, and in some of the later Pain of Salvation stuff, he can do some screaming as well. And he does this on their album Scarsick. He does rapping as well. So he's actually got an amazing rap flow as well.
I think I've heard some of that.
I haven't. I need to hear some of that.
There's a song on Scarsick called, he does rap on the title track, but there's a song called Spitfall, which is a 6-minute song where like 80% of it is just him rapping, and it's really, really fast. Really, it's like he's done a little bit of sort of semi-spoken word rapping in the previous albums, but in this one, he's just like absolutely going for it, and a lot of it is taking the piss out of gangster rap. Like, so it's just like, and I love hip hop. Like, I love Kendrick Lamar and Dakala and all those. I've really grown my
Drake.
Not Drake. I do love hip hop, and I've gotten a much more appreciation for rap flow and delivering those kinds of vocals. And Daniel can do that as well. I'm like, how dare you? How dare you be that?
I mean, Martin, there's no denying he's an exceptional vocalist.
He's ridiculous.
But you're the singer in this band, okay?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
So you can't have him.
So you can't have him. So great little mention for him there, but sorry, you're out the band.
You're out the band. Fired, Daniel.
Martin's doing it himself. So let's summarise your choices, Martin. So your drummer,
Thomas Pridgeon from the Mars Volta.
Keyboard player.
Be Dathan Horridge of Shrewsick fame.
your bass player,
Martin Mendez of Opeth.
Your lead guitarist,
Erin Coburn.
and your vocalist,
Me.
Sounds like an eclectic lineup, but I mean, there's a couple in there that I've not really heard that much of, so it'd be interesting to learn about them myself.
Name your band.
So, what are you naming this band?
Well, because I had Confyde in mind, I'm almost just want to call it Confyde 2.0 or 3.0 rather, because Confyde is how it is on its second lineup. But
Why not? It's your choice. It's your band.
Confide again.
Confyde again.
Oh, I like that too much. Confide again.
Confyde again. Oh, not again. Oh God.
Again.
Again.
Again. I did this whole thing thinking about what would be best for Confyde to play, and in terms of like the music that I want to play. So I'm just going to call it Confyde. Yeah.
That's fine. It's a nice little plug for your current project as well.
Indeed.
Keep mentioning it, Martin.
Exactly.
Martin, it's been amazing having you on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been
That's
a pleasure.
great choice. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's been incredible. So thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for having me. I've had a lot of fun.
So before we end, where can we find you on social media?
So, the social media handle is at Confyde Music. So that's CONFYDE Music. Most active on Instagram and YouTube, probably, but I'm also on Facebook and TikTok and everywhere else. Bandcamp as well. And I'm at the moment say, very busy with Chop Suey and everything, but I am actually filming a music video this Friday.
Boom. New material.
Exclusive. What's can you give us a song name? Or is that not ready yet?
Oh, yeah, I have played it before live. I gave it its sort of official live debut a couple of weeks ago when I was supporting In Search of Sun in Nottingham.
Oh, another quality band.
Amazing band. It's called Happy New Year, but all the vowels are replaced with X's.
How would you pronounce that?
Happy New Year. But I mean,
try it with the X's.
Haxp New which is not.
Sounds brilliant.
It sounds like, yeah.
Get searching for that now.
Happy New Year, but with all the vowels replaced with X's. But and I don't have a release date for it yet, sadly. But once I've got the music video done, and it is going to be part of a double A side.
No B sides here.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is basically it's two singles simultaneously because they're kind of two halves of the same song. This one's a very long form acoustic track, so it's just me and an acoustic guitarist. That's it. It's been a long time since I've done something like that. But then the counterpiece is a full band song that takes ideas from the acoustic track and makes it into a full band song that kind of prefaces the material from the second one. And it gives the band something to play. Because if it's this is the main release, we can't go, this is our new single. By the way, all the other members of the band disappear and I'll just sit here on my own for 9 minutes playing on my own. No, that's not, we can't do that unless it's like a really big headline show. So the other part is a full band song, and that's called A Coward's Stitches, and that one's got a big sort of, it's a bit chaotic really. It almost has like almost a Protest the Hero vibe, but a bit of like slight. It reminds me of a review we had for Emperor Chung. It's like kind of sounds like what Protest the Hero would sound like if they just calmed down a bit.
What was the bit in our review? What was
that bit?
What they said? We sound like Protest the Hero
if they calm down.
I missed that review.
You'd have enjoyed that review.
I would have enjoyed it, yeah.
It's the first Confyde song with a blast beat in it. Yeah, it's blast beats. Yeah. So I tried to do something new with every. But anyway, that is going to be the release. I don't know when it's going to be, but hopefully announce it soon once the video's done, once the production's done. So if you follow the socials, you will find out when it's going to be coming out, when the music video is going to be coming, all that good stuff, and when we're going to be playing soon. So
brilliant. Thanks, Martin. It's been a pleasure, mate.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. It's been wicked.
Some homework to do now. Listen to some of these artists.
Indeed. Yeah, it's been great having you on, Martin. Thank you for coming.
No worries. Thank you so
Cheers,
much.
dude.
Take it easy.
Ooh, wow, Danny. What did you think to that?
Some twists and turns in there.
There was some, what I would say, controversial choices.
He's obviously put a lot of thought into it.
I'll go from my initial thoughts. I'm shocked. There's some honourable mentions that I think he probably should have picked instead. But yeah, let's go through member by member. What's your initial thoughts?
It's very contrasting, the choices that he's made.
What does your heart say?
The main thing for me is this kind of contrast between, I think the one that stands out for me is Erin. Because
yep,
of
very
what
modern.
I've heard of, yeah, it's very modern, very polished in comparison to everything else that Martin has listed in his band. But maybe that was the kind of aspect that he was talking about with learning new things, maybe.
Yep. I think, shall we talk through the individual members and see what our thoughts are on those?
Let's do it. This is the first time that we've analysed a dream lineup. So
it could be the first time.
It could be the first time.
So let's go with drummer. So Thomas Pridgeon from the Mars Volta, or shortly in the Mars Volta, I think, a few years.
Yes.
So we just had a little listen, haven't we?
Yeah, I think I'm going to listen some more.
So the album is The Bedlam in Goliath, and the song Goliath from that album.
Yeah, we picked out that track, and instantly, the thing that stood out to me was the obvious thing was the drum production. I really liked the drum production. It was nice and organic.
Yeah. It's the kind of drum production we like, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I think for me, I'm not a drummer, but what I like to hear is, I don't like to hear too much of a tonal difference between the kick drum and the snare. I like them to kind of sit in the same frequency range. Yeah,
it's a very natural sounding production. Yeah. Not quite as live as some bands do, but not overproduced at all, which is nice for me to hear. I'm not a massive fan of the Mars Volta due to the vocals.
Yeah, the vocals
in my eyes. My
quite
ears. Annoying.
It wasn't going to be my choice of words.
I'll say it,
But
Danny.
he's quite a upfront kind of sound, isn't it? He's not a very warm sounding voice, but I mean, we're talking about the drums, Dan. Let's not.
That's true, but the thing that annoys me is the vocals. I really enjoy his singing at the drive-in. It's a bit more punky, a bit more kind of.
Oh, that's his other project, isn't it? Yeah. Back to Thomas. Another thing that I noticed. I don't know if you noticed this as well. His snare placement is very interesting. It kind of keeps you on your toes when you listen to the track.
Is it non-standard?
It's non-standard to me.
Is that how you describe it?
Yeah, it's not like a bum-cha, bum-cha. So
So you just brought it back to Malcolm from Shawaddy Waddy. Shout out to Malcolm.
Hey, buddy. Another thing was the transitions. He's really... I thought they were very tasteful, the way he transitions between verse, chorus, etc.
He's a jazzy drummer, isn't he?
Yeah, very skilled.
Very confident in his playing, I think. You can tell he's a very experienced, a very incredible drummer.
Absolutely.
So great choice.
Yeah, they're very good. Excellent choice.
But is he better than Mike Portnoy?
Oh, controversy.
It's one of the controversies.
Yeah.
One of the many controversies in this dream lineup.
Yeah, but has he got? I don't know. Has he got a stronger groove? Would you say? But has he got the technical prowess of Mike Portnoy?
I mean, I don't know if you can ever challenge Mike Portnoy on technicalities, can you?
But I do like that he didn't go for like.
It seems more tasteful than Mike Portnoy.
Yeah,
in what we've listened to.
Upon the first listen, both excellent drummers. I do like that he put a little bit more thought into it rather than settling on a drumming legend. I mean, Thomas Pridgen's. It looks like he's got a very good reputation.
He could be a legend.
Yeah. So if you're a drummer, go and check him out. Thomas Pridgen. Very, very good drummer.
Give him a Google.
Indeed. Give him a Google.
Give him a Google. Anyway, next up, who was it next, Danny?
His next choice, the keyboard player, was Dathan Horridge.
Dathan Horridge. Never heard of him.
No, I'd not heard of him before. We've kind of struggled to find much to listen to, haven't we? But
especially in the keyboard realm, I suppose. But maybe that's us doing a bad job of searching.
Yeah, what we've heard is more like vocal and guitar based, isn't it? But
yeah, it is. But
he's not allowed to play. He's not allowed to play guitar.
Definitely not. He picked him as a keyboardist. He's not changing instruments now.
I think the best thing to do is kind of just give him his Instagram handle for you guys to go and check him out and see what you think.
Dathan,
what do you think? Was it a wise choice?
Or was it a very poor choice? Well, you mentioned Mike Ironside, didn't he, from Incubus?
Yeah.
For me, that or the unknown, I'd pick Mike Einziger.
Well,
Einziger? Is that you say?
Yeah. I tell you what, combining Mike Einziger with Thomas Pridgen,
That's a great combo.
That would be a great combo, that would,
But no, Martin picked Dathan Horridge.
Yep.
Find him on Instagram as Dathan_Horridge. Just search for that. He'll pop up.
He'll pop up.
What was next?
Next was Martin Mendez.
I mean, I've got no complaints at all.
No complaints whatsoever.
No complaints with Martin Mendez.
We've just reminded ourselves how much we like Opeth, haven't we?
Not that we needed much of a reminder, but we did have a lovely little couple of listens, didn't we, to a couple of the tracks that I think the bass stands out on a little bit. The Lines in My Hand.
Yep, very good track.
From, what album is that from?
It's from Heritage.
Heritage, great album.
Yeah, I think it wasn't particularly well received by the original fans.
Well, it's not a death metal track, is it? Really?
Yeah, it's more like 1970s prog kind of,
which is something we love.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and the production.
Oh, it's just nice and raw, warm, and
so the song starts off with a beautiful little bass line. Kind of carries the song, doesn't it? Really, at the start.
Would you agree that his phrasing is incredibly musical?
Oh, gorgeous.
Which is nice to hear from. It's nice to hear a bass player with. He's obviously got a lot of musical theory and understanding, and he's got great technique, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely.
And on top of that, his tonal palette is so vast.
Yeah, he has a lot of different tones. So he's kind of got his standard tone. He's got a kind of overdriven tone. He's even got like a slap pop kind of. I mean, he plays what's needed for the music.
Yeah, I mean, we went back and tried to go back through the the actual back catalogue, but it's so vast. We'd be here until 2027 trying to dissect it all. But another track we did pick out was Sorceress.
Again, starts off with a lovely bass kind of lead line, really.
Yeah.
So lead kind of instrument keyboards build around it before dropping into some chunky hard rock.
Yeah, he knows when to drop in some melodies underneath everything, doesn't he? Work around the groove.
He keeps it very interesting.
Yeah,
You're never bored by his bass lines.
Yeah. And then when it's time to play in unison with the guitars playing a big punchy riff, he pulls it in, doesn't he?
He pulls it in. It sounds amazing. So great. I mean, no complaints. Who was his honourable mention for the bass section? I can't really remember.
Billy Sheehan.
Oh, yeah. No, he made the right choice with Martin Mendes.
Yeah.
No offence, Billy, but Martin, for me, beats you.
Yeah, it's just down to personal taste, isn't it? And
absolutely.
It'd be interesting what the listeners think.
Shout to us. Tell us.
Yeah.
Drop us a comment.
Ultimate controversial point here.
Oh, my God. I don't know. I don't want to say this is worst choice.
Dan, as a guitar player, hearing the name Guthrie Govan
as an honourable mention.
As an honourable mention.
You were nearly sick. I saw for the first time in a while anger and rage come across you.
I had to, it knocked me back a little bit.
You nearly fell off your chair.
Yeah. But there is a part of me that thinks picking someone like Guthrie is the easy way out of creating...
What, the easy way of creating an amazing band?
Yeah, I suppose that's the idea of this podcast, isn't it?
It is, but it is nice to hear about some new talent as well. So I've never heard of...
Yeah, it is.
And was it Erin Coburn?
Yeah, we've checked her out, and she's a very highly skilled guitar player, isn't she?
Definitely.
We've just had a listen to one of her singles called Blossoms, and I think she might be singing on it as well. If she's not, the voice is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great song. Really enjoyable track.
Very, very catchy. And I think your reaction was, this sounds almost modern Papa Roach.
It was. That was my first... sorry if that's not your intention, but it was, for me, modern Papa Roach in style.
Yeah, we did enjoy listening to it. I think the thing that stood out for us was it seems very polished in comparison to the other choices in the band.
Yeah, so it was quite interesting. We kind of talked about the bass player, Martin Mendes from Opeth's got a very old school style in terms of tone and how that would match up with the modern sensibilities of Erin's guitar work.
Yeah.
Would you say it clashes?
Potentially. I mean...
and Thomas Pridgeon's drumming. I mean, he's got a very... old school kind of production on his drums, which matches brilliantly with Martin Mendes, but would Erin fit in there?
Well, I mean, there is that kind of idea of you getting 5 people in a room together. If they're all bringing their own thing, maybe that's what Martin's hoping for with that, that polished kind of approach. But yeah, it was kind of going back and listening to it. It wasn't what I was expecting.
No,
and,
same. Especially when Guthrie has been tossed aside, you could say.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Guthrie. Sorry.
We love you, Guthrie.
But, there's plenty of people out there that will choose you.
Guthrie, get on the podcast and let us know who your dream band lineup is.
Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Oh, imagine that. And then, obviously, Martin Jackson, the singer. We know what Martin's like to work with in a band.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't listened to give the shameful plug of Emperor Chung again, how he brought everything to life on that album with his lyrical career.
Genius?
Yeah, he's very talented guy, and he's got a very vast range.
Yeah, distinct voice.
Yeah, very distinct. Combining that with all of these other musicians, it'd be an interesting concept, wouldn't it? I think we agreed on that.
And what Martin's great at, he knows what he wants.
Yeah.
So he will get this band in shape. It's his band.
Yeah.
He'll get them all working together, I'm sure.
He's got a vision.
He has got a very specific vision. He knows what he wants.
Yes. And I can see why he's chose this calibre of musician throughout his band because of how diverse his music is in Confyde.
Oh, absolutely. Go and give it a listen. Just search all the bits for Confyde.
CONFYDE.
So overall, would you go and listen to it?
Yes, they're definitely in the intriguing category.
Oh, and the band was called Confyde 3.0. But would you go and see that? So that's on now, Danny, Rock City next week. Would you buy a ticket?
Yeah, I'd buy a ticket and go and watch. Yeah, I'd go and watch.
I'd be intrigued. I'd go to watch just to see if it did work.
Yeah.
Oh, before we kind of finish off, Danny, can I also mention that he kind of dissed Sleep Token a little bit in the podcast?
Oh, I thought you'd bring this up.
And I can't let it lie.
Well, I mean...
I love Sleep Token.
I think the main reason he didn't like Sleep Token is because it was highly polished.
I just can't let it lie, Martin. You've dissed Sleep Token, and I'm unhappy because of it.
You're too much of a super fan, aren't you?
Honestly.
You love him.
I mean, let us know what you think about Martin's dream band. Do you agree? Do you agree that he's made some great choices? Who would you choose instead? Do you think his honourable mentions deserve to be in the band instead?
Exactly.
Drop us a like and a comment. Oh, and one more thing before we go. I just want to give a big shout out to Danny Beardsley, my podcast partner.
Thank you.
He did write the intro and outro, performed guitar, and sang on those beautiful pieces of music. You're going to hear one in a second.
And we've got some super gnarly bass lines on there from Dan Hayes.
Indeed.
Very much, dude.
The first time I've laid anything for quite a while.
Well, it suited the track very well.
Thank you. That's very much appreciated. Shall we let the guys have a listen to it now?
Yes. So, until next time, goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
We're so sorry to see you go, but thanks for tuning into the show.